Welcome back everybody. In this video we're going to find out if the iPhone 12 mini is still worth it in 2024. We're going to test every single one of its components. We're going to put it against the latest iPhones, against its main competitor, and much more, because I know a lot of you are interested in buying it and it's important for you to get to know the phone before you make any decisions. As always, we're going to start by talking about the exterior design, which is incredibly similar to the one on the most recent models, on the iPhone 15s. As you can see, it's made out of aluminum and glass of very good quality, with that iconic attention to detail we can see in all Apple products, and that really makes you feel like it's worth the money you've paid for it. To be honest, I have not met a single person that told me iPhones didn't look attractive. Even the most Android fanatic people I know, they all agree that, well, despite all the things they don't like about iPhones, even if they don't like Apple as a company, they agree that these things, the exterior of them at least, is beautiful. What's a little bit more debatable though is its size, at only 5.4 inches. This is something a lot of people didn't like when it came out back in 2020. But I have to say, at least in my opinion, I think this small size is brilliant. You can comfortably use it with one hand. You can comfortably navigate around the phone, and even better, you can wear tight jeans without feeling like you have an iMac in your pocket. But anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about performance. The iPhone 12 mini comes with the A14 Bionic chip, which right now is, fun fact, in the top fastest mobile processors in the world. So the speed and fluidity that you're going to feel when using it are, well, as flagship top tier line as it gets. There's no game that can be played at maximum settings, there's no application that doesn't open instantaneously, and unless you compare it to the latest chips on the iPhone 15 Pros, you're not going to notice a significant improvement in performance with newer processors from Apple. But do you know what is even more amazing? The price of the iPhone 12 mini right now on Amazon. It has a very good price, a very discounted price. So I left a link in the description, and I heavily recommend that at the end of the video, you go check it out. If you're interested in buying it, go check out that link. When it comes to the battery, well, we could say that it's one of the weak spots on the iPhone 12 mini. At the end of the day, this is a very small phone, so it also has to have a small battery with lower capacity. Now, don't get too discouraged, because despite all of this, it is way better than I expected. Comparing it to the normal iPhone 12, we can see that it only loses about 10% battery capacity as opposed to the bigger brother. So the difference is not really that big, and you will probably be fine unless you spend the entire day without access to a charger. More specifically, it is going to give you 6 to 7 hours of use, depending on the things you do with it, which I believe is more than enough for the majority of people watching this. And also, it comes with a bunch of modern technologies that make things even more easy and convenient when it comes to charging. As you can see, it can do wireless charging, and it can also do MagSafe charging, which for those of you who don't know is Apple's proprietary wireless charging system. As always, charging capacity is limited to 20 watts, which, well, it's neither good or bad. We could say it's a pretty average charging speed. And also, as always, Apple doesn't include a charger in the box, so you will have to spend $20 extra to get the wall brick. Then we have the display, which, despite being very good and very up to date with the most recent models, being the same display we can find on the iPhone 13s and 14s, I can't help it but to feel like it's, I don't know, a little bit disappointing, a little bit boring as opposed to other Android phones at the same price, because, surprise, surprise, it doesn't have 120 Hertz. Apple, a lot of you know this already, but Apple doesn't like to include 120 Hertz on any of their normal phones, on their non-pro phones, which, well, I guess for normal people is not really that big of a deal because they don't notice, but for geeks like me, and I'm sure most of you, this sucks, especially take into account that these are expensive phones. Apple is not giving them away. For everything else, it's an amazing display, very well calibrated, very good brightness, very good resolution. but just the 120 hertz, man, it always gets me. It always just, it's that little thing that could make the phone perfect. But anyways, it's time to talk about the most important part of the video. It's time to talk about the cameras on the iPhone 12. As you can see, I'm recording right now with the main camera on this phone with 12 megapixels and a very, very good quality for the price. I mean, look at this. There's a lot of detail. You have very decent dynamic range, very good colors. The only thing that's a little off, I would say, is that it doesn't have as much background blur. It doesn't have as much bokeh effect as the new iPhone 15s and 15 Pros because the sensor is a little bit smaller. But besides that, it's very impressive. More specifically, we get two cameras on the back of the iPhone 12. We get the main sensor that I just told you about, and then we have an ultra-wide camera that has a slightly smaller sensor and slightly less premium optics. As always, let's begin by talking about the main camera, which is kind of the same one we could find on the iPhone 11. They both share the same sensor size and will overall the same sensor, so the image quality is going to be, you know, pretty similar. But well, the iPhone 12 has a little bit more aperture on the optics, so the camera is going to be able to capture a little bit more light, and I guess results will look a little bit sharper and a little bit better. As many of you know, I made a video on the iPhone 11 a couple weeks ago, so I've been able to compare the results from the iPhone 11 to the ones on the iPhone 12, and well, let's put it this way. There are some differences if you zoom in and you try to pixel peep, but for you right now looking at this images on a YouTube video, you will not be able to notice a difference. You will not be able to distinguish which one is better than the other. And well, as always, we get the same ultra-wide camera. As many of you know, Apple, for some inexplicable reason, refuses to upgrade their ultra-wide camera on their normal iPhones. It's the same one we could find on the iPhone 11, on the normal iPhone 12, on the iPhone 13, on the iPhone 14, and on the iPhone 15. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is not a bad camera. It gives you pretty decent results, but if you compare it to the Galaxy S21 from the same year, it is a little bit worse. And if you compare it to the Galaxy S24, it is noticeably worse. For some reason, Apple doesn't want to upgrade it. It's not a tragedy. It is a decent ultra-wide camera, but if you're into this kind of, you know, ultra-wide photography, wide open images, well, you're not lucky. Oh, and as always, I wanted to show you the same photo taken with the ultra-wide camera and the main camera to remind you that both of these cameras are very different. A lot of people seem to think that the only difference is the focal length, but that's not the case. They both have different sensors with different sizes and different optics, so the quality of the images is going to be very different. As you can see, the main sensor is noticeably better than the ultra-wide sensor. So unless you need to take an ultra-wide photo, I suggest you use that main sensor to take most of your photos because the overall quality is going to be way better, noticeably better. All right, what do you think? As I said earlier, for the price of this phone, these are very impressive cameras. Maybe the ultra-wide camera is a little bit less impressive than the main camera, but still, very sharp, very good colors, very good dynamic range. The only thing that's a little bit off, as I said, especially on the selfie camera, is that there's no background blur because the sensors are very small. But I mean, this is a phone, and most phones nowadays, unless you go for like the super new iPhone 15 Pros or the S23 Ultra, S24 Ultra, you're not gonna get a background blur in any phone. If you were wondering if for the price the iPhone 12 had good cameras, absolutely, yes, it does. I would actually say that for the price, you're not going to get better cameras on any other mid-range phone from the competition. So yes, it is a very good deal. So, conclusion, is the iPhone 12 mini worth it in 2024? Well, I believe so, yes, because as I said earlier, it has a very good price on Amazon. So quality price ratio, tick. It is a very good phone. And second, if you like the compact form factor, oh, it is a delightful phone to use. As I said, you can just reach every corner with ease, unlike with the other big iPhones. You can put it in every pocket and not feel it there because it's very lightweight. I don't know. If you are into this, which I was not before, but now that I'm actually trying it and using it, I very much am. It is an amazing phone. So yes, I recommend it. As I said, you have an amazing price on Amazon. Link in the description. The video is about to end, so go check it out. The link. That's what I said. You should go click the link.